What's coming to me is how important it really is for us to remember who we are. Just remember that we're not our thoughts, we're not our feelings, we're not even our beliefs, we're not any of those things. And that we can always come back to who we are on the inside in any moment we choose and be with that truth that you're speaking of. And then we're on a completely new reality. Because wouldn't you say, Sophia, that the reality of being in the head in that place versus the reality of being in our body and having that truth, that connection, isn't that two different realities right there? And it's so simple, isn't it? It's so simple to come back to who we are and to be in our power.
Welcome to our wonderful conversation. I'm Sophia, of course, from Sacred You, but with me today we have some very special guests, Carl and Amy, all the way from the other side to talk about something that's really dear to my heart, and that is consciousness and changing our reality. This is something that I've been on my journey for quite a few years, numerous years, because I always know that it is very possible to change our reality and raise our consciousness to create a new life, a new world for me and therefore the planet around us. But that's me. What we want to do is introduce our beautiful guests, Carl and Amy. Thank you so much for joining us, Carl and Amy. I'd love to know a little bit about your story, your journey, and also tell us in that, how do you define living from the inside out? What's that, what makes that special for you guys?
We appreciate you having us on your show, first of all, Sophia. And what makes living from the inside out such a powerful way to live is that we can be very deliberate, very specific about the reality that we create. We've created tools that make that very easy and very fast for that to happen. And in literally within 4.5 minutes, you can start experiencing a new reality.
We were always looking to see how we could do this faster, because we became aware early on in this life that we do create our own reality, and we create our own reality by how we think and what we feel and what we believe. And I was filled with all kinds of thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that were not what I preferred. And I was on a journey of how to change it. And nothing was ever fast enough. And we just kept asking questions. How can we do this faster? And this technology came through Carl a little more than 9 years ago, and it works really fast.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. What I really enjoy and want to get into is so tell us, what's the difference that it makes for you, that it's made for you in your life before you started on this particular part of your journey?
Oh my gosh. It's such a big question, because it's so much. I mean, it literally feels like we're living a whole new reality. And the biggest, what we'd like to really share and get out to the world is that this is possible, and that we don't have to be in a situation that doesn't feel good. And we can go on the inside, and by changing our consciousness, we change our reality.
Now, what someone usually experiences when they're, even from the first time they watch a Mind Flavors video, which is a 4.5-minute video, they immediately feel a tremendous sense of liberation, because a lot of the old patterns that are deep in the subconscious, that are limiting patterns, that are holding them into a kind of a fixed position, which we can feel on the inside. We can feel it. That heaviness can be felt. We may be used to it because we're carrying it around all the time. However, when someone watches a Mind Flavors for the first time, they immediately get freedom from a tremendous amount of that stuck positioning in consciousness. And so a very common thing that we hear from them is that they're not sure why they're smiling, and they're usually smiling ear to ear, and they just seem to say that they just can't stop smiling. And the reason why that is because they're suddenly free from all of those heavy patterns that are causing restriction in their consciousness. And consciousness is it's a very real thing. I like to think of it visually, like it expands out from my being, and it is a structure that goes out into the field. And that structure, the shape of that structure, actually channels energy and causes it to be positioned and moved and attracted in different ways based on the structure of that consciousness, like a crystal.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And you've spoken about some things that are really powerful and, like I said, really dear to my heart, because, we all have limiting beliefs. I think every single being on this world has a limiting belief. Now, a lot of those limiting beliefs, as we know, we're not even aware of, we're not even conscious of, because we've absorbed them from childhood, even from pre-birth. Before we were born, we've absorbed limiting beliefs when we've been in utero, and also from past lives, if you believe in past lives, which is another conversation. How does your technology work, Carl, in removing or releasing those limiting beliefs? And is it a once-off, or do you have to, or is it a continual process? Because I know, if I can say, it's very possible to change your limiting beliefs, but it takes time. It takes a while. Tell us about your technology.
I was working with programming my subconscious mind prior to creating this, and I had great results from that. The issue was that it's working with one belief at a time. Now, I still use this process, and today it's a lot more effective because I've cleared out a lot of things with the Mind Flavors technology. So in the beginning, this is why I was asking, how can I do this faster? How can I make this more broad-reaching and lasting in my life so that my lifestyle would elevate? And I was drawn to, when I programmed my subconscious mind to create that exponential expansion in my abilities, I was drawn to different concepts and different, even ancient things like sacred geometry and different forms of brainwave entrainment that we can use create using sound. And so I started, actually, I thought about it for a few months before I sat down to start building this. But the way that it works is it's giving new structures visually and auditorily to the brain to align with. So a common thing in brainwave entrainment is you can look at an image of someone's brain before they're using the brainwave entrainment and after they're using the brainwave entrainment. And the before, you might see different positions, different locations lit up, not in a nice organized pattern. It's an unorganized pattern. And after someone uses brainwave entrainment, you can see nice organization in the brain, and success happens in an organized brain. So what the Mind Flavors does is it uses a variety of methods combined together to give the brain the best possible way to upgrade and let go of old structures. So the visual aspect alone is creating new neural pathways in your brain. So when we create new neural pathways in our brain, we allow our brain to take new positions. And when we create new positions and new avenues for the brain to follow, it doesn't have to use those old patterns. And sometimes those old patterns that get developed when our subconscious is developing, sometimes those old patterns go down and are connected with things that are seemingly unrelated, like someone's prosperity beliefs might be connected to their self-worth beliefs, for example. So the Mind Flavors pretty much just clears out those old constructs. Now, I'm not going to say that it does everything all at once, because that would be a lot, but it does a lot right from the first time watching. So just to give you an idea, we recently had one of our new members join that is at the 80th year of her life. And that's a lot of accumulation of belief structures over that someone can develop over that period of time. After she watched the Mind Flavors, the first thing she said was, wow, that was 70 years of therapy in 4.5 minutes. So it's pretty powerful.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I definitely want to experience myself, which we will go into very quickly. But Amy, I'd love to go to you now, and I'd like to know like your experiences with Mind Flavor and how it's helped you from your previous life. And I'd really love to know too your thoughts on consciousness expansion, expanding our consciousness, and how that can actually help us in our life today.
Okay, yes. I came in with a ton of programming that was, let's just say that I had a lot of mental and emotional PAIN growing up. And in my early 30s, I started studying all the different healing modalities, and I learned how to clear out the cellular memory in the body and started to have freedom in my body and feeling lighter. And that was really helpful. However, about a dozen or more years ago, I started having this calling to speak, and it just became louder and louder. And I was saying yes to it. I was receiving all the I was writing, I was receiving all these downloads, and I would make some videos, but most of the time I just would shut down and I wasn't able to fully express myself. And not only did it not get better, it just seemed to go the other direction. And when Carl created this technology almost 9 years ago, more than 9 years ago, is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, I was really at a low point. I was ready to check out of here because it just got really too painful. And to have a calling that you're saying yes to, and to really feel like you would like to express yourself and not feel like you can express yourself, and saying yes and then saying no, going back and forth, saying you're going to do something, not able to do something. And I was constantly holding myself back, and it was just too much. And this technology, I can tell you that literally saved my life. And because this did that nothing else could do was to clear out what I call DWF. It's a doubt, worry, and fear patterns that I had in my mind, that no matter what I did, all the healing modalities that I experienced, it just wasn't taking care of that. So we come here with things to experience for what our path is. So I'm very grateful that I had all of those experiences, because now I can literally stand up and say, it can be a different way. We don't have to live like that. And your question about how can expanding consciousness change our lives? It's everything. Consciousness is everything. What our consciousness is like basically our beliefs and what we think and what we feel, and is everything. And so when we can go inside and change that, we literally have a new reality on the outside. It really happens fast. And yeah, so
it happens a lot through what we'll just call your point of attraction, because each one of us, there's many believe that reality is a universal thing, and it is not a universal thing. Each one of us is experiencing our own reality. We have common things that we can say that we are collectively buying into. However, the experience is unique to each one of us. And the reason why that is because each one of us is the center of our experience, our center of our reality, and we're attracting to us the things that show up in our experience. And because we're attracting to us those things based on what we think and what we feel and what we believe, that is unique to each one of us. So when we shift what we think, feel, and believe, we change our point of attraction and new things start to show up. Now, one of the most common things that we see with new members showing up with us is it's usually within the first 5 days, is what I've noticed. Whatever they've been working on, they've been stuck with, all of a sudden it starts working. Everything starts flowing. And it's very common that for them to receive unexpected checks out of the blue. We just had another member that joined us just about 15 days ago, and on her 5th day, she received a unexpected check for $25,000. And we just spoke with her today, and she told us that it was an unexpected check that came out of the blue. this is fairly common with when we change our consciousness, because the mind flavors is working so fast to clear out the patterns that have been holding things back. And so this allows those things to suddenly rush forward.
The reason it can happen that fast is because it's all about alignment. And when we get everything in alignment, like our thoughts and our beliefs and our feelings, when it's all in alignment with who we are and what we're asking for, then it shows up just like that. And some might say it's a coincidence, but we actually don't believe in coincidences. This is alignment. And so what's beautiful about the tools that we use is that you feel it immediately. So Carl created Mind Flavors. He's been talking about that. And I created a tool that's called Invigorate. And it's an 8-minute daily energetic cleanse, because it's very important that we're working on the body as well, because the Mind Flavors is doing a good job clearing out the mind, creating those new neural pathways. But what it's also going to do is it's going to bring up the energies in us that that don't match what the new patterns are, you see. And those have to come up and be cleared out. And we haven't seen any other better, faster way to do that than breath work. And I learned a powerful process that actually clears out the cellular memory. And what's beautiful about this is that then we don't get triggered by things that sometimes trigger us. And because if it's not on the inside, we're not going to attract it on the outside. So that's another thing that our members notice right away, is that things that used to trigger them just don't trigger them anymore. And as they keep going with it, then it just doesn't even show up at all in the reality.
Thank you so much for sharing that, truly. And I want to know more about your tools to invigorate and breath work and everything else, because I also do breath work. Very powerful. Do want to get into how people can actually access this. You've talked about members, so how people can become members and everything else. But before I do, just one question that's on my mind is, and for anyone who's listening, you do get people who are very skeptical about all things, especially technology and different stuff. How do you deal with or address people who are skeptical about using tools in a way as such to change our reality, to change our consciousness?
I used to say great when someone says they're skeptical, because I would have them do a writing process that pretty much you get results with overnight. And once they saw that themselves, they would have more of an open mind. However, with the Mind Flavors technology, it's different because we are talking about consciousness. So even though Mind Flavors is for everyone, it's really only for the ones who are ready to expand their consciousness and experience a new reality. That might sound like funny, because you would think everybody's would like to have something better and more in their experience. However, if there has to be a strong desire to see, to have the willingness to change, because the Mind Flavors will create change. It will release the patterns that are in the way of moving forward. And what we've learned is we both have backgrounds in sales from years past. And so we can easily sell this to someone, and in as far as like the idea of having a better reality, that's easy to do. However, it's up to the individual to actually show up and stand up for themselves in order to change their experience. So they have to be ready for it. Our programs are by invitation only. And the reason why that is because they have to be ready for it. Now, even though I say it's by invitation only, we are aware of the fact that it's something new and it's something they haven't experienced before.
So we do offer a free private screening for those who feel that they are ready, because yes, we would like you to experience it first. It would be very important for you to experience it first, because it is something like you've never experienced before, and words aren't enough to explain it. It has to be experienced. So we do offer that.
And we have on our website videos of before and afters, so others can see what it's like, because most of the time they do say that it's a little bit not easy to explain in words what they're experiencing, because they're having an internal experience of alignment of things that potentially have never been in alignment in this lifetime. So it's quite an experience, that especially that first time.
Most beautiful thing that the Mind Flavors is doing is it's bringing us back to who we are on the inside, to our divinity. And a lot of our members will say that when they've experienced it for the first time, that they feel like they're home. And that's the beautiful thing, because that is really our message to get out also, is it's so important that we remember who we are and how powerful we are, and that we can certainly have the ability to change how we think and feel and what we believe, and to choose the reality that we would like to have.
And that it's also possible to live without that mind chatter from the first time watching Mind Flavors.
That constant and consistent, same thing, mind chatter. I read a book once by Michael Singer, Taming the Untethered Soul, and it said like making friends with your mind chatter. So thank you. So tell us, let's get to it. How can people actually experience or connect with you guys? We do have your links. And for everyone who is watching, do check out these links below the video, and do connect with Amy and Carl. But if someone really wants to experience Mind Flavors and go into this whole journey, what's the process?
You go to mindflavors.com/experience and enter your name and email. You'll receive an email from us. And the first step is to schedule a 30-minute connection call with Carl and me, because we would like to meet you. We would like to hear what you would like to accomplish, and that's the first step.
Okay, and then after that, what can someone expect?
The next step is we have them go through a process where they watch some of the before and after videos, and they watch some of the testimonials of our members, so that they can get an idea of the kinds of things that can change in their life, and how fast they can change, and to what degree they can change, and the benefits that they can receive from these new changes.
And then after they go through that, then they can have their private screening with us. Then they get to experience the technology themselves.
Now, usually by the time someone is ready to experience the technology themselves, they're usually ready. And most of the time when we meet with them, they're ready to move forward. And we can see when somebody's ready, we love to invite them into our Mind Flavors family.
Yes.
They do have to be ready, and we can determine that through that process.
Because we do it this way, and we really make sure the individual is ready, we have 100% success rate with our members. And it's phenomenal, the results that everyone is getting. But it is important that you're ready and that you're willing to do the work on the inside. Yeah.
Yes, and that's the thing, doing the work, which is good. Now, yes, I'm assuming that all this is online. You're available.
Yes, anyway. Yes.
Yes.
And the technology is just online.
Yeah.
Yes, we have members all over the world.
Wonderful. Good to hear. So before we wrap up, the other thing that I'd like to ask is, do you believe that there's any risks? Or have you experienced that in your experience, are there any risks or downsides to changing or rapidly changing our consciousness?
Well, that's a great question, and you're the first one that's asked that. Now, first of all, if someone is experiencing epilepsy, it's not recommended that they use the technology unless they have supervised professional medical assistance. And the reason why is because there are strobe-like effects in the technology. And so that's one thing that we always make sure to clarify up front. As far as expanding consciousness rapidly, what we've done is we've thought of everything, because we've been doing this for a long time, and we've guided many individuals through the process. So we've been able to see all of the points where we can make the process smoother. And expanding consciousness can be joyful. It can also be something where guidance is beneficial. And so we have put together processes and tools along the way so that everything complements each other, so that the process itself is very smooth. So to answer your question, I don't see any downsides to expanding consciousness, only the opportunity to up-level your point of attraction and change and decide. You get to decide and choose what you'd like to have showing up in your reality. Now, while that process is shifting, there are going to be things moving around, and what normally seems all normal and stable will suddenly start to shift. And without guidance, someone might think that there's something going on that's not what they'd like, but the opposite is what's true. Because in order to change our reality, we have to change the structure of our consciousness. When we change the structure of our consciousness, the old structure no longer applies because the two are not, they can't function on the same frequency.
And we have plenty of guidance and support in our programs. So we're with our members every step of the way. Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. About how long, and I'm assuming that this is different for individuals, but how long does this whole process take?
Our program is a 4-month program, and the tools, and when one joins, you have lifetime access to all the tools, because even beyond the 4-month program, you'll continue to use the tools on a regular basis. But I would say, like, within that first 30 days, most of the work or most of the clearing happens.
Yes. And from that point on, it's more expanding into your own creativity.
Yeah. And really come in more into your power and seeing that you do create your own reality, and just getting really creative and, having fun with the process.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, isn't it? Having fun with the process. We live in a world where it's too serious, and it's just giving ourselves permission to have fun. And sometimes that is removing or transforming those limiting beliefs, because I think, again, a lot of people in the world have a belief that life is hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
To be enjoyed and to be joyful. So thank you for that. And thank you for coming on. I definitely want to know more. I've got two more questions, but one is about your concept of creating heaven on earth, and how that really resonate with you and helping others.
Yeah, that's our passion and our focus right now. We'll be going to be also creating a community called the Consciousness Expansion Community, where we are going to be sharing what we've learned and how anyone can change their consciousness and create heaven on earth within themselves, just with a pen and a paper and just using their breath. What would you like to say about that?
So I guess giving a definition of my view on what is heaven on earth is a good start. I believe heaven on earth is when we are all tapped into our divinity and we are utilizing our divine power. Because I believe that with that happening and everyone is taking individual responsibility for their own creation, their own reality, that to me is heaven on earth.
Tuning into who we are, getting to a place where we're always in tune with our inner guidance and our inspiration. This is heaven on earth. Opening up our hearts, being loving and kind, shining our light. This is how we create heaven on earth. It's very simple. We've all been programmed against who we are, and these tools and everything we do, it's like clearing out everything in the way of who we are, so we can just be who we are. And we are divine beings. We are powerful. We are bright. We are beautiful. We are genius. And we are greatly loved, and anything is possible for us. And this is heaven on earth.
And we've seen things happen that we didn't even think was possible. So my guess is, as we start to collectively do what we're talking about and start elevating each one of our take responsibility on the inside and elevate our consciousness, we're going to collectively create things that go beyond anything that we've ever experienced here.
An example of taking responsibility for ourselves is if someone triggers us, or if we get triggered, we don't look outside and blame or anything like that. Instead, we go within and we say, how did this make me feel? How am I feeling in this moment? And we take care of ourselves by clearing out that. If everyone would focus on making feeling good their number one priority, and whenever they get triggered, using whatever method because there are multiple methods that we can use for clearing out. I think the breath work is the most powerful. We do something called candle breaths at the ceiling, and I would just love to teach everyone how to do candle breaths at the ceiling, because it's so fast, and you get those triggers, and then you feel free again, you feel light. And every time we use the breath, what we're doing is we're releasing resistance, that heaviness that we have inside, those energies that aren't even who we are. And when that happens, we also raise our energy frequency. And that's the most beautiful thing, because then we're not even in that reality we were just in a moment ago that didn't feel good. And then all of a sudden we're feeling light and free. And another thing that happens when we raise our energy frequency is we have access to more information. We can see more, we can feel more, we can see the bigger picture, we get more in tune with who we are. And then it's, oh, okay, that thing is already in the past. It doesn't even exist anymore. And also we've just changed our point of attraction. So we're now feeling better, and we're going to always attract what we're feeling on the inside. These things are so simple, they're so powerful, and they set us free.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I've got so many more questions, so many more, and I'd love you both to come back again. But one thing that was just coming up, I was going to ask you, Carl, could we have a demonstration or just a short thing of your technology of mind flavors? But Amy, when you said about the candle breath, would you like to just show us very quickly what candle breath is? Lead us through a candle breath.
Can I guide you? Can I do a guided self-connection?
Absolutely.
It will only take a couple minutes. Okay. Okay, but I'll just tell you what a candle breath is first before we do this. A candle breath is simply a big breath in through the nose and a big breath out through the mouth. And like you make a wind sound on the exhale, like it's a big exhale.
It's important that there's compression when you're breathing it out. That's what makes this unique, to get that cellular memory to be freed up.
Yes. So what you do is you stand up and you look up at the ceiling. And while you're looking up at the ceiling, you have to stand up. This doesn't work sitting down. You have to stand. And you look up at the ceiling. And while you're looking up at the ceiling, you do 20 candle breaths. So a big breath in through the nose, a big breath out. Probably about halfway through, you might feel a little dizzy. You'll feel a lot of energy coming up. But keep going, because after the 20, it will dissipate quickly. And then you'll feel brand new. You'll feel like you are in a new space. Another thing that's important is after you do the 20 candle breaths is to slow your breath down, put your head down, close your eyes, and do a few slow breaths in and out. Okay. So I'm not going to demonstrate candle breaths here because that'll make me look really funny. But what I'm going to, but what I would love to do that's also very powerful, just take a moment, Sophia, is to guide everyone who's listening how to get out of your head and be in your body. So I just invite you to close your eyes. And just breathe normally, just in through the nose and out through the mouth, just easy and light. So these are not candle breaths, just breathing naturally. And as you are breathing in and out, imagine there is a beautiful, bright ball of light floating above your head. Brilliant, bright, glowing like the sun, and 100% of your focus is with this bright ball of light floating above your head. And now follow this light as it flows in through the top of your head. And it's flowing behind your eyes, drifting into your throat. Your body is breathing easy and light for you as you're following this light drifting into your heart. Feel that bright light in your heart, and it's drifting deeper into your solar plexus, into your lower belly, into the base of your spine. Following this light traveling into your legs, flowing into your thighs, into your knees, into your calves, into your ankles, and into your feet. And that bright light stays right there in your feet. Keep your focus with that light in your feet. And as you keep your focus with that light in your feet, take a long, deep inhale. And as you inhale, imagine opening up space in front of you as far out as you would like it to go. As you inhale, and a big exhale, imagine opening up space behind you. Inhale, open up space to your right. Exhale, open space to your left. Inhale, open up space high above you. Exhale, open up space below you. Keeping your focus with the light in your feet. Feel the space open up all around you. Feel your divine presence in your body. And if you have followed along with me, you are now in your body and connected to yourself.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. What did you notice from that?
Just that connection, and overall that connection. And it's a wonderful opportunity just to be. We spend so much time. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one, but for me, I spend so much time in the doing mode where I welcome any opportunity just to be.
Beautiful. Yes, just to be. And this gets us out of our head. And we have all been programmed to be in our head all the time thinking. And That's not where the answers are. And that's really not where it feels the best. And we can all just take a moment like this and easily be back in our body and be in the being place like you're talking about. And then we're in tune within here, right? Then we can just listen.
Yes. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing is, when we're in tune within here, when we're in tune with, for me, it's the new earth is in here. When we're in tune with that, then it comes out. We're able to manifest it or experience it on the physical thing. So absolutely. So thank you ever so much. And, what's in here is always the truth. What's up here, it's too much chatter. Too much chatter.
What's in here is always the truth. Yes.
It is. It is. In that knows everything. And I really believe we have the answers to every single thing
Everything.
that we need, that we've asked, but our head just gets in the bloody way. Thank you. One last question. Is there any other question that I could have asked you guys, and how would have you answered?
Oh, wow.
I think you've asked great questions.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to share?
What's coming to me is how important it really is for us to remember who we are. And if we find ourselves in a place that doesn't feel good, and in that place of listening to the mind, just remember that we're not our thoughts, we're not our feelings, we're not even our beliefs, we're not any of those things. And that we can always come back to who we are on the inside in any moment we choose, and be with that truth that you're speaking of. And then we're on a completely new reality, because wouldn't you say, Sophia, that the reality of being in the head in that place versus the reality of being in our body and having that truth, that connection, isn't that two different realities right there?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so simple, isn't it? It's so simple to come back to who we are and to be in our power.
Yeah, it is. It's a journey. It's a practice, because we live in this world and we're conditioned to think that life is hard, we've got to do, but we can overcome that by just putting in practices like what you're offering. And I'm definitely interested and want to know more. And I'm sure everyone out there who is listening will also connect with you. So do, if you are listening to us today, whether it's live or on the replay, do connect with these amazing beings, with Amy and Carl, and just check it out, because you never know. You just never know what the universe is offering and how easy it is to change our current reality.
And one more thing, if anyone listening would like to be in on this conversation, we invite you to join our new community, and that's consciousnessexpansioncommunity.com. Yeah.
The links will be below, so do check that out. So again, thank you, Amy and Carl, for joining us today for our conversation. Like I said, I've really appreciated. For anyone who's listening, click the subscribe button or the like button and check out everything else, but do connect with these amazing people. So thank you, Amy and Carl, and I look forward to talking to you very soon.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So much love to you. Thank you.
Lots of love.